We're ready to get started this evening. We're all here to honor Colonel Charles Hoke, and a lot of great things have been said about him already today. And my plan is to continue that this evening. And if it works the way I hope, by the end of the evening, we'll leave him literally speechless. The dinner is ready, and the way this is going to work is the Duchess daughter staff is going to come by and let you know when your table should go and partake in the buffet. But before that, I wanted to ask Colonel Hoke if you would please introduce your family to us.
Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you all for coming. I'm even more humble than I used to be. Anyway, I would just like to quickly introduce my family that is here. My good wife, Ellen, who you all know is really in charge of most everything. My mother, Elizabeth, sitting next to her. And my father, Captain Charles Hoke, Navy, retired. He drives the submarines in the family. My son, Elliot, there. And Carrie Durkee, Elliot's friend. And my twins, Jeffrey Hoke and Courtney Hoke, who is finally here. I think, and our other daughter, Allison, is in Salt Lake City, so she's not here.
Don't forget your sisters.
Oh, yes, I was looking around. Where my sister Nancy is here. There she is. And my sister Nancy is from Hawaii. She came the farthest. And my sister June Kay and her husband John Kay are sitting next to them. So thank you very much for welcoming them. I understand there's a buffet so people can chow down. And we will be told what order.
Yeah.
Deputy Davies to come up, Deputy Commander of MMRC, and to make a few presentations.
I've got a few here. What a great videotape. I'll tell you, Colonel Vaughn, I think, is a frustrated technician that wants to put movies on. I've seen his work when he went to Israel. He put together a great video, so we really appreciate that. Captain and Mrs. Hoke, Ellen, and Elliot, and Courtney, and Jeffrey, and I know Allison isn't here. General Martinez was so sorry that he couldn't be with us tonight. But I'm so happy that I can be here. I would have been here if he wasn't here anyways. But I'll tell you, Charlie Hoke is somebody that means the world to me. He's been a great friend. Shortly after I arrived at Rare, he came in to pour his heart out to me about different things, and we became long and fast friends. And when Dr. Bill Bancroft was getting ready to leave, and I had come back up to the headquarters to serve as the Chief of Staff, he was the logical selection to be the midriff director, and he did an absolutely marvelous job. You know, anybody can steer a ship, but it takes a navigator to make it get there. And I'll tell you something, Charlie Hoke has been a navigator. You know, navigators, a couple points about navigators. Navigators depend upon, they know that people are depending upon them and their ability to help them to chart the course. And Charlie charted the course as he revolutionized the way that we handled our research programs. The midriff became the gold standard, and all the things that we're doing and the changes that have occurred within the command now have resulted because of the work that Charlie Hoke performed. Colonel Glenn would come in and sit down, and he said, I'll tell you something. He said, Colonel Hoke's got religion. And I said, what do you mean he's got religion? And he said, he is so on this project management stuff. And I said, you know, we're going to get there. And I think you made him a believer and everybody else. The second thing, as we look at navigators, navigators know that as they're traveling this road, that they've got to have the confidence and they've got to have the trust to move down that road, knowing that there's going to be challenges ahead, but being able to deal with it. And those of us who've been close to Charlie know that he's taken a lot of flack for standing up for the things that he thought were appropriate in the way that we had to manage and do our work. I just really have appreciated his spirit, his enthusiasm. I always like to call him at night and get him fired up on the way home when he was driving home and talk to him on the phone. You know, he'd come in and talk to me, though, sometimes, and in his eyes, he'd close his eyes. But he'd keep talking as those eyes were closed. And I was concerned that he was going to fall asleep on me there. And I'd reach over, and just then more words would come out. But I just want you to know that I always have cherished the opportunities that we've had and the deep perceptions that you're able to bring. Your family, obviously, is very proud of you. It's great that your sisters can be here with us tonight, and all of these great friends that you've touched over the years. And I do have some things to present over here. The first thing is a letter from General Martinez Lopez, and I'd like to read that and then present a coin. Dear Colonel Hoke, and then he lines through it and says Charlie. You only do that if you know him. You know, you line through that, put the Charlie there. On this occasion of your retirement from active duty, I want to convey to you my deep appreciation for your faithful and dedicated service to our nation. Your illustrious career as a soldier, as a scientist, professional clinician, and scientific manager directly impacted policy and programs across the globe. I appreciate the methodical approach you took in dealing with the plethora of challenging management initiatives while leading the military infectious disease research program. You revolutionized program management initiatives, but most importantly, you were motivated by a compelling sense of duty to provide the best products to protect our most precious resource, the soldier. You leave a lasting legacy of service, an indelible imprint on military medicine that extends beyond the Army and throughout the Department of Defense and into the international community. Thank you for the many sacrifices and unwavering support during your military career. I extend my best wishes to you and your family as you retire from active federal service. Sincerely, Lester Martinez Lopez, MD, MPH, Major General, Medical Corps, Commanding. And then he says, thanks for all you have done for the AMED and our Army. Lydia and I wish you and your family only the best in the future. And we've got a couple other things here. I'd like to have first for Ellen. We're a part of the AMED regiment, and the regiment is something that all of the civilians and the military that serve in the Army Medical Department are a part of. And I'd like to present to you, on behalf of General Peak, to Dr. Ellen Boudreau, is granted and assigned the distinction of honorary member of the United States Army Medical Department Regiment. This appointment recognizes the significant contributions to regimental continuity, tradition, and esprit de corps by order of the Surgeon General, James B. Peak, Lieutenant General, the Surgeon General. And Colonel Hoke, Colonel Charles H. Hoke, Jr., is granted and assigned the distinction of Distinguished Member of the United States Army Medical Department Regiment. This appointment recognizes his contributions to regimental continuity, tradition, esprit de corps, by order of the Surgeon General, James B. Peak, Lieutenant General, the Surgeon General. I get to present the plaque. Come on back up here. I think I've done about 100 of these things in the time, but
It just keeps getting better.
it just keeps getting better. This is the one that we give that has the blue skies. Yeah, there's a lot of different ones, but as you look at this, wherever you go, we see there's been a lot of arm twisting. I got to tell you, I counseled him about 5 times not to leave the Army. I didn't have much influence on him. But this is the picture that shows the 3 flagpoles at Fort Detrick with the flag flying there in the background. And Building 810 and the Fort Detrick community that you were so much a part of for the last several years. And it says, presented to Colonel Charles H. Hoke, Jr. for his contributions to the Military Infectious Disease Research Program, 1 October 1997 to 30 April 2003. A trailblazer in medical research management, innovation, integrity, dedication, and humor, described as outstanding leader and mentor from the officers, soldiers, and civilians of the headquarters, U.S. Army Medical Research and Material Command, Fort Detrick, Maryland. Thank you for a job well done.
Okay, Colonel Brian Schuster, if you have a presentation today.
Very nicely. This is really a pleasure for me tonight to represent the Rare Association. We have a special award that we give to retirees who have contributed to the traditions at Rare and the great science that the Institute is known for. And normally when I make this presentation, I take time to explain why we give this particular token of our appreciation. But I think those of you who know Charlie really well will see how appropriate this award is. It's the Rare Mule. And it represents all those characteristics that have made Charlie so great and allowed him to accomplish what he has. So Charlie.
Thank you very much.
I'm surprised you didn't need to explain the qualities of the mule. I'd like to ask Colonel, retired, Marty Crumright, if you'd like to come and make some remarks.
I'm here as a former commander of Rare, and but before that, I have to tell you a short story of the first time I heard from, I think it was Major Hoke, maybe Lieutenant Colonel, but I was lucky enough to be assigned to the Pentagon by our friend Phil Russell, who, by the way, I can't tell you what he said. He said, sort of, what the heck are you retiring for, and what are you going to be doing next? Words to that effect. From Phil through me to you. I have something from Ernie here that I'll give you in a moment. But I got a call while I was down at the Pentagon, and this nice young man on the other end of the phone wanted to know something about why somebody was knocking off an influenza program. Well, that wasn't in any of my purview, but I learned a lot more about influenza in that short conversation than I'd ever known before. And I thought, this young man is very knowledgeable about his subject. I still didn't figure out why he wanted me to do what he wanted me to do. I found out several years later because I came to Rare, and he explained to me why, in a much shorter conversation, why it was important at the time. The money went away, and basically the program went away, but I didn't understand the details until we had a shorter conversation. But one of the things that he did while Ernie and I were both at Rare that we both remember very well is that he brought some of you in the room here down to the office, the front office, so that he was sure that we knew what you were doing and the importance thereof. And that really helped us keep things in perspective and understand the science behind the people and the enthusiasm that everybody had that you transported to us with all the people that you dealt with. And I grew to know and understand all the people in the RARE that worked, at least in CD&I, a whole lot better, and had a better appreciation of all the hard work that went on there. But your work got translated to us through Charlie Hoke, and that was one of the crowning touches for your selection to go up to the headquarters to the RARE. Now, that said, I too am a possessor of the RARE mule, probably for some of the same reasons. So we'll not talk about some of our discussions later on, because we're long. I've grown to respect you for the work you've done, and you've done a great job. And I just really like to say thank you very much. You do have gray and charcoal and blue tie. You're getting it. I've had a little longer to learn. Sometimes you could go purple, you know. But it's I understand what you're going through right now. It has been a great career for you, and I wish you only the best. Thank you.
Should I open this?
Use the tie tradition, if you wish, or not.
Go ahead and open it.
All right. Well, you know, that arrangement of that Colonel Kermine or Dr. Kermine talked about was one of those accidents. I mean, I really didn't know exactly what to do. And so we had these steering committee meetings, and after each one, the research coordinators were all charged up with the current stuff. And so I would always book an appointment with the director for the 15 minutes after the steering committee meeting. And we would go down, and each research coordinator, I would say, now think of the 4 most important things that happened in this meeting, and then we'll go tell the director. Well, we would do that, and we had great discussions with Colonel Takafuji and Colonel Krumrein. They were compact, and but one day Colonel Takafuji said, "You must be one of the smartest guys around here, because every time you come down here, I learn so much." Well, of course, I didn't know anything. I was bringing these research coordinators that knew everything, and they're the reason why he learned something every time I came down there, because I never went by myself. But it was a very effective way of keeping the commander informed. And so any of you all that have that option, anytime you have a meeting and things are moved ahead a few notches, book an appointment with the director, and I think he'd appreciate hearing about the progress in an incremental fashion. So anyway, to open this up, it's a beautiful card box, I would say. All right. So thank you very much. And I'll work on getting a lavender tie as I relax a little more. Life is full of
Okay, Bob DeFrades, come on up. And Dan Strickman asked to say a word or two. And if anyone else would like to take the microphone for a few minutes, it'll be open after that.
Open mic.
Open mic Thursday.
Thanks, Dave. It's really quite a pleasure and an honor for me to be here for Charlie and Ellen and your lovely family. It's been a great time. I hope you'll indulge me. This is about me for the next couple of minutes, but we'll get back to Charlie. But I first met Charlie when I came to RARE in 1989. Like Dave, I was a pediatrician. I had just done my preventive medicine residency, and thanks to Tody Sanchez, who's back there, this is as much a story about Tody and Charlie as it is about me, but brought me to the RARE in 1989, and I needed something to do, so I don't know what I was doing, stumbling around on the second floor up there in RARE and getting into trouble, but I stumbled into Charlie's office, and he was flapping this airline ticket to Clarksville, Tennessee, which is the home of the 101st Airborne, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, for the hepatitis A study, a very, I'm sure, well-intentioned and well-planned study hepatitis A vaccine that Fort Campbell had come up on the roulette wheel as being selected as being our study site. And I had the great fortune of accompanying Charlie on the trips out there to Fort Campbell for the first clinical trial that I'd ever been involved in. And true to form, let's go to the next slide. Charlie regaled me, and I think in a way he may have missed his calling because he really, well, I guess I heard this about the project management, but the way it's translated to me for project management is the 5 binders I still have from that study at Fort Campbell, all of 333 people in the study, I think, a very relatively modest number compared to what he had been through before in Thailand. But what impressed me was what's now called project management, which meant every step of the way had to be planned out in advance and backed up and make sure that you have everything in place, and even to the colors of the tops of the vials and how we would dispense the vaccine. Next slide, please. Now, Fort Campbell is a great place. Any time of year, we were there, I think, most of the time of the year. Next slide. And some of our crew that's lying alive, and Charlie in his, well, I won't say better days, but certainly looked a dashing figure in his BDU uniform. But from that study, in the fall of 1989, it wasn't but, we'd only started that when he flapped this other piece of paper that Walt Brandt had sent him and said, we could probably get this Japanese encephalitis vaccine license if we just do this one more study. And that's how we ended up going to Hawaii. And I, again, got to be from where I was learning from Charlie around the table at Shoney's, which was our favorite place and he would hold court for a couple of hours every night as we would eat the all-you-can-eat buffet, of course. We would do a lot. He didn't eat all the time. He spent most of the time talking. I don't know if he ate that much at all, but he taught us a lot. He taught me a great deal so that he had enough confidence in me, which was more than I had in myself at the time, to actually be the principal investigator on this Japanese encephalitis vaccine trial. Next slide. It was more of the same. I mean, going out to Hawaii this time and again in BDUs and with Jim Egan, Randy Rowland from the Department of Virus Diseases. Next slide. And the rest of the crew, Bev Watts on the right, John Hendricks, Roberto Nang, and Mark Verdine, of course. This was part of just many. I mean, we cycled a lot of people, trained a lot of people in traveling to Hawaii. We never lacked for volunteers to help us with this study. But, next slide. I think Dave's already showed you. Well, here again, the color code of the vaccine. Every vial's labeled and sorted, and made sure we had every dose accounted for. Learned what now, we didn't have that term at the time, but good clinical practices and clinical trials. Charlie already knew everything that one needed to know, just didn't have written the book yet. Next slide. And again, doing this, again, amazing to me that no matter what the situation, we adapted our techniques to what the soldiers, we got the soldiers where they were. They were quite impressed the fact that we would pursue them. This is Pahakalua training area on the Big Island, but we also pursued them to Thailand during Cobra Gold to pursue them for their own good, of course. They were our volunteers, and we took excellent care of them. But again, this is color-coded even to the ice chest was yellow. That was well, not yellow. We didn't call it yellow. We called it gold because we thought soldiers wouldn't like yellow. That was the gold group. So you stayed with your lot group, and we had everything color-coded. It wasn't double-blinded. We didn't have to be double-blinded. So, but again, they were amazed to see us, and also very happy to see us with additional doses and blood draws. So, and again, we got a little bit of time to see some of the sites. Here's again some of the crew out on the Big Island. And but I want to say I'm glad I had this opportunity just to spend a couple of minutes with you guys. This is only a very small part of what was a tremendous experience for me. And you hear this said, it's such a trite and a cliched phrase of how your life was changed. And my life, my professional life and my personal life changed so much in those first couple of years at Rare, from a general pediatrician who thought he knew everything but didn't know anything, to preventive medicine doc and still don't know much, but still learning. And that's the other thing Charlie, I think, taught all of us, is that there's always more to learn. And I think, hope he gets a chance to mentor and teach and train others in his future, because he certainly, I know I've benefited from it, and I know most of you in this room wouldn't be here if you didn't feel that you had benefited as well. So thanks very much, Charlie.
I know I shouldn't say anything, but thank you. And you know, Walt was an absolute magician on this Japanese encephalitis. Of course, Don had confronted me when I first got back from Thailand with, well, you believe the data, don't you? Go get it licensed. And Walt just lined everything up with the FDA. And actually what happened was, I think we were sitting around a table, and probably Bob was left as one of the last people at the table when the jobs were being handed out, and that's how he got to be the PI. And, he did an absolutely marvelous job, and because of really one carefully done study, negotiated by Walt with the FDA and done by Bob, very complicated study. Newts were done by different labs all around the world. The study was itself complicated, and he didn't show you, we had to pull guys out of their foxholes in the rain to give them their vaccine and take their blood and stuff. And he kept all the records perfectly, and basically on the strength of that data plus the historical data, the vaccine got licensed. So it was really amazing, and you did all the work.
I just wanted to thank Colonel Hoke for all his help over the years. And you know, most of us are, I think, tend to concentrate on his eccentricities and comment on them. But the fact is, especially as his role as head of midriff, he had to tolerate the eccentricities of all of us. I don't know how he did it. I know I would have not been able to do it. So he's really not just a great scientist, physician, and administrator, but he's been a wonderful officer, taking care of the people who work for him. And I've experienced that on many occasions over the years when I really needed that help. So I have brought Colonel Hoke something that I know he'll treasure before he throws it into his garden. A prop which I've used in a number of talks. This is a piece of granite from the Adirondacks. It's 1.2 billion years old, and I think it kind of gives us a little perspective on our own efforts.
How do they know it's that old? How do they know it's that old?
They measure it, sir.
Okay, open microphone. Any, Colonel McQueen? And then Colonel Wood.
Charles. It's a good name, Charles.
Charles, yes, Charles.
If I do the arithmetic right, you spent the first 18 of your 24 years at Rare or at Abrams. I think that that's a remarkable record, an accumulation. I listened to your talk today at the retirement. You talked about 4 things: mentoring, who we work for, teamwork, and the Army goes rolling along.
Right.
Did I get it right?
Yes, yes.
All right. But when you talked about mentoring, you talked primarily about people who had mentored you. I think that many of us have had the benefit of your mentoring, and that's really where you leave your legacy. And the legacy that you leave behind is really, I think, impressive. As a research coordinator, I know firsthand you were generous with your time with me, and so I know firsthand what others experienced. I think probably part of it was a fundamental distrust that you had for any research coordinator who wasn't an infectious disease specialist. But I know that you spent a great deal of time with me. But as a durable symbol of that legacy that you leave behind, it's my privilege to present you with a rare commander's coin.
Thank you.
memento for the countless people that you have mentored at Rare.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And I would say that any hours I may have spent talking with you as a research coordinator wasn't because I might have distrusted anyone who wasn't an infectious disease specialist, but only that I thought a gastroenterologist must be teachable. And I was very right.
A number of people here tonight have talked about Colonel Hoke's management style and how he brought the new rigor of management to the command. And I thought it would be worthwhile looking back 20-odd years ago and looking at Charlie's management when he was a major. This is when he came to Bangkok that Charlie came and said that he wanted to do a JE vaccine trial. That was what he wanted to do. And I said, okay, well, where are the requirements documents? And they said, no, there aren't any, I just want to do it. And I said, okay, is there anybody else in the command that thinks that this is a good idea? And he said, no, but I want to do it. And then so Bob Edelman and others who were experts in JE, he went around systematically, I went around systematically and said, is this something we should do? And they all systematically said no. And I went back to Charlie with this and said, yeah, but I want to do it. I was impressed at that time because Charlie was a smart guy, that it was doable, that it was potentially important, and I learned something that was extremely important. And I have to say, this is sincere, Charlie, that I've carried this with me ever since, is that when you got somebody who's smart and committed and passionate about something that they want to do, let them do it. That's probably the best management lesson that I've ever learned, is that don't stop somebody from doing something that's important if that's really their passion